All right, we are in film. This is gonna be on Canvas. I'm gonna go over the test as it is right now. This test will change class to class. I'll kind of go over some of the changes that I make, right? So not every class will have the exact same answers and whatnot, because I don't like answers, trickling up through the periods for those who take it early. That's the most fair way to do it. As you can see, it's very similar to review. The first question, it talks about composite functions. On the review, it was 2x and x over 2. Here it's 4x and x over 4, but it doesn't matter. It's still asking the same question, f of g. If they are inverses, what should they equal? And that answer, of course, is x. Here, they are indeed inverses of each other, right? If I were to put this function in here, right, 4 times x over 4, right? This is f of g. These 4 will cancel and I'll be left with x. That is our composite function theorem, all right, for inverses. If the composite functions of two functions equal x, they are indeed inverses. This is just a concept question. Answer is x. That one doesn't change. All right. So here's a Kahoot question. I am going to work this one out. So you had this one on the Kahoot, so you can practice it. This will change from class to class. This is a pretty difficult question. I'd like to see where you're at. So the first thing it gives us, it says a rectangle has a length of 12 and a width of 5. Right? So I know my area is going to be 12 times 5 or 60. And I'll do units squared. If the length is increased by x, so I'll get 12 plus x, right? And the width is decreased by x, w minus x. And the area of the new rectangle is 44 square units less, so minus 44 gives me 16, right? What is the value of x? So now I have this equation right here that I need to solve. Again, I like to use a box. Remember, this is one of those that I change from class to class, right? Otherwise, everybody would just remember 4 from the Kahoot, right? So here I get 12. Oh, why do I have a W? So remember, your W is 5, right? So this is 5 minus x, right? So 5 minus x. I'm going to get my negative x squared in this box. Here I have the 5 times 12, which will give me 60. I know that's not that clear. Here I have 5x. Here I have negative 12x. Add my two diagonals together. What do I get? Negative 12 and 5. So I get negative x squared minus 7x plus 60 equals 16. All right, I'm gonna move my 16 over and I'm gonna factor, so minus 16. So my new equation is gonna be negative x squared minus 7x plus 44. Again, I need to factor. I don't like factoring with negatives. I'm gonna take the negative 1 out. I'm gonna make it x squared plus 7x minus 44. What are my factors of 44 that add up to 7? One of them has to be positive. One of them has to be negative. Well, my factors of 44, let's think, let's just do 11 and 4, right? So I'll have x plus 11 because the bigger number should be positive here. X minus 4, I'll get x squared, 11x, negative 4x, and negative 44. Those add up to a positive 7x, so it checks. So my factors here are x plus 11 and x minus 4, right? Set them equal to 0, so I get x equals negative 11 and x equals a positive 4. This negative 11, that's going to give me a negative length I can't have, so my answer here is 4. So that one was pretty difficult, probably the hardest one on the test. I do change this one from time to time. biggest thing is, right, write out your equation, multiply it all, then you're gonna get your quadratic, then you're gonna factor. SAT style question, SAT style test. Yes.
How did you immediately from 44? I mean, like after minus and getting your answer.
Because I've done this several times.
No, I don't care about all that.
Yeah, so good question. How did I get to 44, right?
I know that you multiplied, not multiply, you subtracted the area.
So it says it was 44 square units less, right? On the area. So I have 60 minus 44, right? That gives me this 16 over here, right? So I know this is gonna equal 16. And when I do this, I have my 12 times 5 in my factored form, which gives me this 60.
Oh, wait, no.
And so
You're good.
what I know is, right, I'm just gonna subtract that 16 again. So I already did 60 minus, or 60 minus 44 equals 16. So 60 minus 16, well, that's gonna equal 44.
No, I get what you. I was trying to figure out where you got your negative x's and positive, but then I just read it. Okay, no, you got it.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right,
Oh, no.
we good?
I had the same question you did.
Same question?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and go on. All right, I do change this one up from class to class too. This is an inverse proportion, and it's driving from Midland to Lubbock. It took Brianna 2 hours to drive from Midland to Lubbock at an average speed of 60 miles an hour. It takes, the time to drive is inversely proportional. So right away, I'm thinking y equals k over x, and it's time to average speed. So t equals k over s, and I'll do a little sub a there for average speed. So it took Brianna 2 hours to drive to Midland to Lubbock at an average speed of 60 miles an hour. I want to find my k. What does k represent here?
Constant.
Yeah, constant. What's the constant in this problem?
Hurry.
The distance to Lubbock, right? Because if I'm dividing the miles per hour and getting the time, obviously that's going to be the miles to Lubbock. Let's do it and see if it's right. So when I set up my proportion, I'll have 2 over 1. I'll make it easy to cross multiply. I'll get 120 equals k. Is that the distance to Lubbock? 120 miles? Yeah. Just about, depending on, from the loop, right? 120. So now I have this 120, and now I'm going 90 miles an hour. I'm wondering how long that takes. So I get 120 over 90, right? I can simplify, I get 12 over 9, right? What does 12 over 9 equal? Well, you could divide them both by 3, right? What's 12 divided by 3? What's 9 divided by 3? So it's going to take me 1.333 hours. Now remember I said you're going to have to convert to minutes. What is a third of an hour? 20 minutes. Very good. So it's going to take me 1 hour and 20 minutes. Where's the trap answer down here? Yeah, and that's not even right. 1.33 minutes. All right, I think I actually fixed that typo, but don't fall for that trap answer, right? If you do 33.333 times 60, you do get your 20 minutes. If you do 1/3 times 60, you get 20 minutes. Keep your hours as the same, just do your decimal times your minutes. Does this problem make a little sense? Anybody drive 90 to Lubbock? I was back in my college days. All right, going on. All right, so this is one of the hardest questions on the test, right? Jeff Bezos is in his rocket. It's fired vertically upward with an initial velocity of 400 meters per second. The height is S. S equals 400t minus 4t. What is the maximum height of the rocket? What do I need to get this quadratic in to see the maximum height?
Vertex form?
Yes, I need to get it in vertex form. First of all, I know it's opening down because I have a negative t squared, right? So I need to find this vertex. So what I gotta do is I gotta put this equation in vertex form. The first step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rewrite it like this. 4t squared plus 400t, right? And I'm gonna say equals h because I don't think s is a good term for height, right? Although that's what they have. So I'm looking for the height here. Now, what do I need in vertex form? Well, my vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Again, I'm looking for this k value, but I gotta get x minus h squared. So my first step here is I can't use this leading coefficient. That needs to become my a, right? So I'm gonna factor out this -4, and I'm gonna be left with t squared plus 100t. All right, does everybody see how I got here? All I did was factor out a 4. Now again, I need a perfect square there. So this is my b value because it is my second term after my square. So I'm going to take half of it. So 1/2 my b, so 100 divided by 2. I know that's 50. Now I'm going to square it. So I get 50 squared, and that is 2,500. Now typically I can, add it to both sides, right? But I'm gonna have to subtract it anyway. So I'm just gonna keep my 2,500 over here as well, right? That's gonna become in handy when I have to distribute my 4. Because I added 2,500 and I subtracted it, I didn't change the problem at all, right? It's like a scale. I just added 2,500 and then just immediately subtracted it. Everybody see how I got that? So now I have this group right here, which is my perfect square. That automatically factors to t minus 50 squared. And I can keep this -4 multiplied by this term right here. So this -4 is multiplying all of that. I still, this is the challenging part, can't forget about what I subtracted over here. So I'm gonna multiply my -4 times my -2,500, and I get a plus 10,000. Do I have it in vertex form? Yes. So how high does Jeff Bezos go? So high. 10,000 meters, right? 10,000 meters is the answer on that one. This one's kind of hard to change, right? So you probably could remember it. I may see if I can switch it up, ask a different question. Maybe like, at what time is he at the highest, right? So this is how I changed that one, but it's the same thing. You have to get it to vertex form. You should know what that vertex is. So 10,000 meters on that one. All right. This one, what is the domain of this rational function, right? What is my commandment in math that I've taught you? Thou shalt not divide by 0. Ignore this for now. Set your denominator equal to 0. Solve, right? I do change this one from time to time. So I get 9 equals 3x. Divide by 3, divide by 3. I get x equals 3. So what does that mean? That means when x is 3, I'll get a 0 in the denominator, and thou shall not do that, right? So all real numbers except 3 is the answer on this one. Pretty similar to the review so far, right? All right, moving on. So I took out the y's on this, the range part of it, but they're all pretty much the same anyway. You'll just have to deal with the x's. So which inequality describes the domain and range of the equation? Well, it's the square root graph. I know I can't take the square root of a negative number, right? So I know 2x minus 7 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, I'll get a negative in there. So I'm just going to solve this inequality out. So I get 7 less than 2x, less than or equal to, divide by 2. So I know x has to be greater than or equal to 7 halves. Right? X has to be greater than or equal to 7 halves. So again, I took out the y values. Don't worry about that. You won't have to do the y values on the test. But your y values would be positive as well because it's all in quadrant 1. So y is greater than 0. So, and that says y is less than 0. But I cleared that up for you. That was a trap answer that I did for my other classes. So again, now we have the inverse proportional pressure law, right? P1 times V1 equals P2 times V2. Which of the following formulas could be used to determine pressure 2 if gas occupies a volume of 3 liters at a pressure of 5 atmospheres? So my V1, right? I gave you numbers. So here's my V1, here's my P1. They're inverse, right? So I'm thinking K over X. They need to be on opposite sides of those fractions, right? One needs to be in the numerator, one needs to be in the denominator. So as I look down here, okay, 3, 5, those are on the top, so that can't be it, right? Look down over here, well, this doesn't even have the 3s and 5s in it, right? They're minus each other, that's completely wrong. Here, 3 and 5, 6 and P2. 6, right, is my P2 I was given. So this, is it? No, that's my V2, I'm sorry. Volume. That's my V2, right? So my V2, of course, is across from my P2. You're just gonna make sure you have those inversely related to each other. Just like before, except now we have some numbers, right? So just like we did it on the review today, where we had them across from each other, but now we plug in numbers. Questions on this? All right. So it looks complicated. It's not. It's the same one. All right. The exact same question from the review. I went over this in class. Remember, you're going to solve by grouping, right? When we group, we want to look to take out, to undistribute something that leaves the same thing to both of those groups. So here, I take out a 9x squared of my first term. I'm left with a 5x plus 2. On my second term, I want to make sure I get to a 5x plus 2 as well. So I take out a -1, which leaves me with 5. Keep it color-coded. 5x plus 2, right? I have those common terms. That's what I was looking for. So I can rewrite this as 9x squared minus 1 times my 5x plus 2. Not done because this is a difference of squares. 9x squared, that's a perfect square of 3x. 1 is a perfect square. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So that automatically factors. Do black for my answer. 3x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. And of course, don't forget your last term. Those are my 3 factors. Student B. All right, factoring by grouping. Make sense the second time? Very good. All right. The way I change this one is I change up, I ask the question of what certain students did wrong. So what did this student do wrong? Student C, what did they forget to do? They forgot to do the difference of squares, right? You'll probably be able to problem solve it the way I ask it, but I do change it up from class to class. All right. Next question, I just changed the numbers of these from class to class, right? I have a fraction equal a number, put it over 1, cross multiply, makes it nice and easy, right? Make sure to distribute, so I get 18 equals 3x minus 9 plus 9 plus 9, 18 plus 9 is 27. No? Divide by 3, divide by 3. I get x equals 9.
Don't look at me. Look at her. That's good.
All right, so again, cross multiply, solve it out, right? I like to see the funnel method on your work, right? You distribute the 3, then it's just, a two-step equation. Always start from farthest away from the variable, add the 9, then divide by 3. You should get 9 here. I changed the numbers up from class to class on this one.
Could
Yes.
So you whatever numbers left on the side, you multiply it to the equation on the bottom?
Whatever numbers left on the side.
Oh yeah, the number on the side, you multiply it to the equation
So-
on the bottom?
My butterfly method that I did here, and I'll do a pretty pink butterfly, right? I multiplied 18 times 1, because I just put 3 over 1, right? And then I multiplied 3 by x by 3, and I made this butterfly.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, the Napoleon thing, right? That's gonna be on film. It's awesome. All right. All right, this equation. How do I get rid of square root? Square it, right? It's all under the square root, so I need to square both sides. I get 25 equals x plus 1 minus 1, x equals 24. Right? I change up the numbers on this from class to class. It's all the same. I keep it very basic, right? Square both sides. That square gets rid of your square root, right? Then it's just a simple equation, one step, minus what's ever left. Remember, if you're working this and there's more than what's under the radical, right? You are going to solve to the radical before you square, right? So this is a pretty basic one. All right, now absolute value. So it's the exact same question that we did on the review. I just moved the 5 over because I wanted to see if you would remember what I said, right? We always got to solve to the walls. Solve our absolute value equation to the walls. So I get 4u plus 7 absolute value equals a positive 5. I solved it to the walls, then I split in 2. Now I can just rewrite it 4u plus 7 equals 5, and then I'm going to multiply this side by -1. 4u plus 7 equals a -5. Solve them both out, -7, -7. So I get -2 equals 4u. Divide by 4, divide by 4. U equals -1/2 is one of my answers. My answer's over here, -7, -7. -5 minus 7, -12 equals 4u. Divide by 4, divide by 4, u equals -3. -3, -1. Put the lower number first.
Just do it twice. This is actually pretty easy.
It's pretty easy now? Good. I like that. Pretty easy. All right. Yes.
Are they dividing the 5 by the whole thing?
I'm only dividing the 5 by what?
-1. I mean multiplying by -1.
Yes, you only multiply by -1. You multiply on -1 only on one side, and it's the side opposite the absolute value. Good question. All right. In that case, it was just 5, right? If there are other numbers over there, you'd have to do both those numbers. All right, that's a good question. All right, average cost function, right? I don't think I need to do this. Which of the following models the average cost? The cost of materials and labor to produce each coffee cart is $100, right? The fixed cost is $3,000. So this one doesn't even have the trap answer that the one we tried earlier is. Make sure you find your cost function, and then for average cost, divide the whole thing again by x. All right, set up your linear cost function, and then divide it by x again. So here, 3,000 plus 100, that should be times x. So maybe a little typo there. I'll have to fix. What number is this? This is 12. All right, so it should be times x over x. All right, pretty easy stuff. Whoa. All right. So now just plugging in formulas into an exponential growth equation. I have $5,000 in my personal savings to invest in dividends, increasing exponentially at a rate of 10% a year, hopefully. Which equation below best represents the population? Best represents the principal in t years. Solve for t equals 25. All right, exponential equation is y equals a times b to the x, where a is your starting value, b is your growth factor or decay factor, growth or decay factor. If my b is greater than 1, it's growth. My b is less, it's decay. So I start with $5,000 times, well, 10%. So I do 1 plus 0.1, right? So 1.1 to the t, time in years. So it left it split up here. And then when you plug in 25, you should get 54,173.53. I think I actually took this one off because you don't have a calculator. I know I took this off and I fixed some typo. So you won't have to do this one. My other class had a calculator, you don't. You'll just have to plug in the equation. Does that make sense? From class to class, all I change is the interest rate, which it only affects, and it's all together, right? It'll be 1.1 on your test. So remember, this test gets changed from class period to class period, so answers can't trickle. You just can't tell everybody what the answers are, you know. So keep that in mind. All right. Upon being infected with the COVID virus, an individual's immune system starts combating the infection, leading to 50% daily reduction in viral load from the previous day's amount. If the person had 20,000 virus particles in their body on the day they were diagnosed, which formula represents the viral load on day in after diagnosed? Right? Solve when after 14 in a 14. So it's 50% every day. What does that sound like to you? Yeah, it sounds like a half-life to me, right? So I know my half-life equation. So I start with my total, right? My starting value times 0.5 or 1/2 to the x, or in this case, we're doing it to the n. Again, I believe I took these off of here, right? So you didn't have to do the math in your head because you only have a 4 function. So of course, it's just 20,000 times 0.5 to the n. You won't need any of those, right? So again, it's just plugging into the exponential. It's the half-life equation of COVID. I think it's actually true because at 14, it's 1. So it's like 14 days, 2 weeks, you're over it. It's actually it's a lot faster now. This is back in the day. Strong COVID, old COVID. COVID's weaker, no? But I'm saying that on camera, that can't hurt me ever. All right, which of the following graphs best represents negative x squared? That one. All right, negative x squared. So again, on your review, what was it? It was the square root of 5x. So I'll change this one from time to time, but as long as you know all these graphs, x squared, negative x squared, square root of 5x, square root of anything, really. It's the only square root graph, right? And then here is y equals x plus 2, right? A linear one. So know those 5, be able to pick out which one is which based on that equation. All right, which of the following is the graph of the function y equals x plus 3? Or sorry, the absolute value of x plus 3. It's outside, so I'm working vertically, right? So yeah, going up 3, boom. And I got it right off the bat. All right, all I do, if I'm outside the absolute value, outside my parentheses, I go up 3. All right, pretty easy stuff.
Yes.
All right, we're almost done here. 17, All right, this is the probability one. I'm not gonna go over this one. I just wanna make you understand. On the review, I said brisket. On the test, it's the chicken fajitas. Okay? So now we're eating chicken. We're a bunch of girls, bunch of sissies. No, not eating the beef. I'm just kidding. All right, so it's part to whole. There's no way I'm not getting fired. All right, part to whole. All right, part over whole. I'm looking for seniors, so I know that's gonna be my part, and I'm gonna add up all those numbers, and that's gonna be my whole. Divide them out. All your answers are in percentages. Don't look at that. All right, multiply by 100, and you'll get that percentage. All right, here's a tough one. Let's work on this one. The function f is given by the equation 3x squared plus 24x plus 57. Rewrite the function f in a form that shows the coordinates of the vertex as constants in the function. Move the correct answer into the box. Other words, complete the square. So 3x squared plus 24x, right? I'm gonna move this 57 over. I'm gonna say there's a 0. So I'm gonna move this 57 over here. So, no, this is not Freaky Friday. Oh my goodness, this is completing the square. All right, so I'm gonna add these two squares. These two squares here. But first, what don't I like about this problem? I have this leading coefficient, right? I don't want, in my vertex form, I don't want a leading coefficient. So actually, before I move this, let's actually do this on the same side. So 3x squared plus, I'm gonna do it like the Jeff Bezos problem because it has the leading coefficient. Because all of these are divisible by 3, I can take that 3 out, right? And I can just have my x squared. What is 24 divided by 3? 8, right? What is 57 divided by 3? I had to look. It's 19. All right. So now I have x squared plus 8x plus 19. What am I trying to get to here? All right. So I need to take my b value, which is my 8x. Right. We'll set this 19 aside over here. So I take half of the 8, which is 4, and I square it. So I'm gonna need to add 16 and minus 16, right? So this is my perfect square. So I'm gonna get x plus 4 squared from this, right? I can have my 3 out front, but don't forget, right? I need to multiply my 3 out over here. And of course, I have a minus 16 and a plus 19 that are inside the parentheses, right? So that becomes a 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So it becomes a plus 9. Everybody got that? Yeah, that one's a little tricky. I'm not going to change it. So remember that. I had to do it on the same side because I had these leading coefficients, right? Anytime you have the leading coefficients on completing the square, you have to do it all on the same side, right? And, you know, when I took out that 3, all of these stayed in the parentheses, right? And so I could take that, I could put the 3 there, but I still need to distribute my 3 to this part, which negative 16 plus 9 is just 3 plus 9. So your answers, right, are 3, 4, 9. All right. Difficult problem. If you didn't come to the review, good luck. All right. After transforming the function 2x squared plus 4x plus 3 into vertex form, the vertex is easily identifiable. Which ordered pair is the vertex? Oh, it's another leading coefficient? Man, I was not nice to y'all. All right, so I think I can move my 3 over here. So take, yeah, I think. All right, because I can't take it out on this side, so I kind of have to, right? So take your 2 out now. So I'll take 2 out. So I have x squared plus 2x plus a blank, right? And then I'll have to subtract that blank from over here. So half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I need to add the 1. I need to minus the 1 on this side. Wait, no, I need to add 1. Sorry, add 1 this side, add 1 this side. So my vertex over here is going to be x plus 1 squared, right? Over here, -3 plus 1 is -2. And somehow I needed to multiply that by 2 because this one's in the box multiplied by 2. So this is actually a plus 2, right?
You got it.
What'd you get here? -1, 1?
Yeah.
What's happening?
All right. I'm gonna make this problem easier on the test here. So vertex, -1, you should get that point pretty easily. If I just did -1 here, then I do the 2, right? 2 times 1 plus 1, then I have the 3, and then I add the 3 back, right? So if I just kept it on the same side, so I'd have 2, -2 plus 3, and that would give me that +1. So again, there's your vertex form. So it'd be -1 because opposite your h, comma 1. Yeah, there you go. It's easy peasy lemon breezy. What y'all didn't get about that? All right, I'm gonna try to give y'all one that doesn't have a leading coefficient. Make that a little bit easier. That was difficult. Don't tell me I did another leading coefficient. For what values of the graph of y equals 2x squared minus 36x plus c and y equals 2? All right, I'll get rid of that one. All right, 2 of them I'm gonna get rid of. That's fine. 21, a function is, what number, 20? All right, so 20 and 19. 20 I'm getting rid of, 19 I will make easier. All right, it's written like this. What is the value of A? How do I find the value of A? All right, find your vertex, plug those in for H and K. My vertex here is -5, -8, -5, -8. Biggest thing that people miss when they plug in, right? They forget to flip their H because it's minus a -5. So it becomes y equals A times x plus 5 squared minus 8. Then you're gonna plug in a point, use one of the zeros because it's easy, right? So I'm gonna use -3, 0. That means my y value is 0. My x is -3. So what is -3 plus 5? -3 plus 5 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 8 is?
-4.
All right, -4 times A equals 0. Divide by -4, divide by -4. What does my A have to be? Oh, I shouldn't have used the 0, shouldn't I? Dang it. What is my A? I got 0. Oh, it says it's 2. Let's try that again.
What time do you leave?
All right. What else is on there? Minus C, units to the right, we should know that. Parent function, 4 to the x, right? It's the only exponential that's not moved over. Easy, easy. Graph of this function, just find the vertex, right? There's no A, make sure you have the negative. What is the vertex of something in vertex form? +3, 7, and then x plus 2 on the inside. We move to the left 2, right? All right, so I'm gonna make a few changes, make it a little easier. Added some hard ones, but that's it. Thank you.